Hello guys, today I'm just making a video for some basic insights on how to solve simultaneous equation questions. So there will be a total of 5 questions where I'll be solving on some basics of simultaneous equations and how you guys can approach these questions for the exam. And yeah, if you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. And let's begin with the video. Okay, so the first question states that we have to solve the simultaneous equations for x plus 3y is equal to 18, x minus 3y is equal to 7. Now, there are two ways in which you can solve these simultaneous equations. First method is by the substitution method, and the second method is through the elimination method. So these are two separate methods that you guys can use when dealing with simultaneous equations. Okay, it's like similar to the graphs of straight lines. They're usually involving that, or they could involve quadratic equations as well, quadratic simultaneous equations or linear simultaneous equations. So first of all, we're going to use I'm going to use the elimination method. So I'm just going to write here down. It's going to be called the elimination method. Elimination method. So the elimination method is to make the coefficients of y or the coefficients of x as the same size, so that we can get rid of the coefficient of x and use that to find the value of y and substitute the value of y into any one of the equations. So what I mean by this is, let's consider these two as two separate equations, as equation 1 and equation 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to change equation 2 and have the coefficient next to x for equation 2 to be as 4. So we're going to multiply the equation 2 everything by 4. So what I mean by this is that the equation 1 stays the same. So it's 4x plus 3y is equal to 18. But the equation 2 changes. The reason is because we multiply every piece here by 4. So we're going to have 4x minus 12y is equal to 28. So we changed the second equation by multiplying every term by 4. We times it by 4. Now what you're going to do is you're going to just do a simple subtraction. You're going to subtract this and you're going to get something like a form in this way. So these two cancel out each other. So you have 3 minus 12 to give you 15y is equal to 18 minus 28, which is going to give you minus 10. So indirectly you're getting an equation where you can make y the subject of the formula easily. Okay, so you have, we're going to write down the equation here. So you have 15y is equal to minus 10. Now what you're going to do is you're going to do y is equal to minus 10 divided by 15, where y is going to be equal to minus 10 divided by 15 to give you minus 2 by 3. So that's your value for y. Now you can just take any random equation. So let's take equation 1 in this case, or let's take equation 2. So you have x minus 3y is equal to 7. We have the value of y to be minus 2 by 3. So you have x minus 3 brackets minus 2 by 3 is equal to 7. So if we simplify this equation, I would advise you guys to use the calculator for this. It's really helpful while solving these type of questions. So you have a positive 2, you have x is equal to 7 minus 2 to give you a 5. You have x is equal to 5. So this seems to be the value where you have x is equal to 5 and y is equal to minus 2 comma 3. So you get no two values, you just get a certain number of values. So what we have done is we have made the coefficients of x to be the same size of 4, and we subtracted these parts to make the equations together to eliminate x in this form, and to find the value of y and substitute the value of y in the equation 2 to get the value of x. So it's a very simple process, and this is what elimination method is all about. Okay, it's just making the coefficients of the same size and deciding whether to add them or to subtract them in order to eliminate one coefficient of x or y and substitute the value accordingly. So we're going to move on to the next question. Okay, so the next question states that in a shop there are 2 coffees and 3 cakes cost, let's say, is this pounds? I think it's pounds, 9.95. So they cost that much amount of money. In the same shop you have 1 coffee and 4 cakes that cost about pounds, 10.35. Now you have to work out the price for 1 coffee and the price for 1 cake. Now what we're going to do is, this is like a word problem question, so you have to think around this a bit. So we can say that let coffee's value be x, and we can say let cake's value be y. So we're stating 2 variables, and since in a shop there are 2 coffees, you're going to say 2x, and there are 3 cakes, so plus 3y is equal to pounds, 9.95. And then in the same shop you have 1 coffee, so that's just x itself, and 4 cakes, so that's going to be a positive 4y, is equal to 10.35 pounds. Now you have to work out the price for 1 of the coffee and the price for 1 of the cake. So in this case, I'm going to use elimination method. Sometimes I feel that elimination method is a bit faster than substitution method, but you guys can choose whichever method you guys like. Substitution method is really good when you're dealing with quadratic simultaneous equations, so that's one good tip you guys can take away with this. So the elimination method, what we're going to do is we're going to categorize these as 2 equations again, and we're going to multiply the second equation, everything, by 2, so that we can eliminate the coefficient of x. So you have the first equation remains the same, it's not going to change, it's going to remain the same, but the second equation is going to change to 2x plus 4 times 2, which is going to become 8y, is equal to 10.35 times 2, which is going to be, write this in decimal, 20.7. Now we're going to subtract these equations together to eliminate x, so you have 3 minus 8, these cut off each other, so you have minus 5y is equal to 9.95 minus 20.7 to give you minus 10.75. So you have y is equal to minus 10.75 divided by minus 5 to get you the value of, you're just going to divide these together to get you a value of 2.15. So you have y is equal to 2.15. This should be your value for y. Now you're just going to take any equation, you can take either 1, 2, I'm just going to choose the second equation. You have x plus 4y is equal to 10.35. We're just going to do the same thing, we're going to substitute the value of y into this equation. So you have x plus 4. I'm just going to show you guys all the steps so that you guys can understand clearly how to, let's say, approach these type of questions. So you have 4, but the brackets, I'm just going to use a calculator, because it's just much faster. So it's 1.75. So we have found out the, let's say we have found out the price of 1 coffee, and we have found the price of 1 cake. So I'm just going to write here coffee's price. Coffee's price is going to be equal to, let's give it as pounds, 1.75, and I'm going to say the cake's price to be equal to pounds, 2.15. So that's your value. There you go. This is your answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Now the next question states that you have to solve the simultaneous equations. Now here, if you can see clearly, this is a quadratic simultaneous equations. So for quadratic simultaneous equations, it's a bit difficult in order to use the elimination method. So what are we going to do here is that we're going to use the, let's say we're going to use the substitution method. Now what do I mean by substitution method? It's just a similar method to how you guys substitute to find x and y values in algebraic equations. So we're just going to apply the same concept here. Substitution method. So the substitution method is where we're going to make one variable a subject of the formula and use that to find the value. So sometimes the questions they clearly give you the subject of the formula. So like in this case, in the third question, we have to solve the simultaneous equations. Here we have x is equal to y minus 5. So they're clearly giving us the value of x, that x is equal to y minus 5. I'm just going to name this as equation 1 and equation 2. So equation 2 clearly states that x is equal to y minus 5. So we're going to put the value of x into the first equation, that is x squared plus y squared is equal to 13. So since we know the value of x is equal to y minus 5, we can write x squared plus y squared is equal to 13, and below that we can write y minus 5, put in brackets squared, since the value of x is squared, plus y squared is equal to 13. Now I'm going to show you how to open the brackets up if you guys need help. So you have y squared is equal to 13. Alright, 13. You have y squared minus 5y positive 25 plus y squared is equal to 13. So you have y squared, we're going to arrange all the like terms together. Once you arrange all the like terms together, you get minus 10y plus 25. This is a positive 13. If you push it to the other side, you get a negative 13 is equal to 0. You have 2y squared minus 10y positive 25 minus negative 13 give you positive 12 is equal to 0. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the calculator. By the way, if you guys want to know how to solve quadratic equations using the calculator, do check on my other video where I talk about it. So I'm just going to use the calculator just to find the values of y. So you have 2 minus 10 and 12. Alright, so you have value of y1 to be 3 and the value of y2 to be a positive 2. So these are two values of y. I just use the calculator in order to find out. You guys can check that video out if you guys need help. But all it is you have to just find two numbers that multiply together to give you a positive number of 24, and two numbers that add to give you negative 10. That's how you get these numbers. So you have 2 and 3. Now you're just going to use this equation since we know that. Now we're going to substitute these values of y into the second equation. So that is x is equal to y minus 5. So since we know that y1 is equal to 3, we know that x1 is equal to 3 minus 5 to be a negative 2. So x1 is equal to a negative 2. And we know that y2 is equal to a positive 2. So x is equal to 2 minus 5 to give you a negative 3. So you know x2 is equal to a negative 3. So we have found the values of y. Since this is a quadratic simultaneous equations, you'll get two values for x and two values for y. So that's clearly understood. So you can neatly write these down if you guys like together. You can write here as x is equal to minus 2 and y is equal to positive 3, and you could say that y, let's keep it as x is equal to minus 3, and you can write here or as well, or y is equal to 2. So these are two different values of x and y. So we have found the equation and this is correct. Yeah, okay, let's move on to the next question. So the next question is dealing with how to solve simultaneous graph questions, simultaneous equations using the graph. So the question states, question 4 states that the graphs of straight lines with the equation y is equal to x plus 2 and 2x plus 3, y is equal to 16 have been drawn on the grid. So I've just drawn a sample graph, so it's not accurate, but on the grid paper it will be accurate. So you have to use the graphs to solve the simultaneous equations for this one. So for this question, you can either use the elimination method or the substitution method to find it directly, but since they've given you a graph, you can directly find out the simultaneous equation. So the solution for this is the intersection of these two graphs, the intersection point. So what I mean by this is where these two graphs meet or cross. So they cross at this point, that's also known as the intersection point. So if you look closely to this, it's somewhere between the x value of 2, somewhere between the y value of 4. That's going to be 2 comma 4. So this is how you're going to solve this question. So you have found out the value of x is going to be equal to 2 and y is equal to 4. You can write this as coordinates if you like, as 2, 4. Alright, so that's your answer. Now let's move on to the final question. As the final question states that you have to solve the simultaneous equations 2x plus 5y is equal to minus 10 and 2x minus y equals 8. You guys can use either methods, elimination or substitution. In this case, since they're given us the coefficient of x to be as 2, we're going to subtract both these equations together directly, so it's faster. 2x cuts out, so you have 5 minus 1. What I mean by is 5 minus 1. So it's not a y, it's 1. There's a coefficient of 1 next to y. So you have 6y is going to be equal to minus 10 minus 8. It's going to be minus 18. So you have y is equal to minus 18 divided by 6. So you have minus 18 divided by 6 to get you a negative 3. So y is equal to negative 3. You're going to take any one equation. So in this case you have 2x minus y is equal to 8. So you have 2x minus 3 is equal to 8. So it's going to be a positive 2, a positive 3 actually, going to be equal to 8. So you have 2x is equal to 8 minus 3. 2x is equal to 5. X is equal to 5 divided by 2. And x is going to be equal to, I'm going to leave it as a decimal, 2.5. So this is your answer. Y is equal to minus 3. And x is equal to 2.5. So sometimes you can check this equation if it's correct, and in this case it's correct. So x is equal to 2.5 and y is equal to minus 3. I use the elimination method. In this case you guys can use the substitution method, but wherever you get the chance to eliminate the coefficients which are similar to each other, use that opportunity to use the elimination method. So I think that's it. This seems to be the end of all the questions, and if you guys have enjoyed the video, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot, and yeah, just stay motivated. You guys can do this, and good luck for your exams and all. And I think that's it. New content will be posted soon. Do check out the other videos which I'm going to post right now here on the screen, and I think that's it. Bye guys.